Welcome to Holistic Human Performance Podcast. My name is Gena Bradshaw, where we talk all things holistic health, wellness, spirituality, fitness, meditation, energetics, and so much more to help you become the healthiest version of yourself. Let's dive in. This is not medical advice. This is simply to help you on your journey through health, fitness, and wellness. I hope this helps. You can complement this with anything that you are doing currently in your life. Enjoy. Non-toxic products are a huge part of what I want other people to understand. It makes a huge difference in your health and well-being, and especially in my own life. I've seen it before my eyes. It has improved my health on a whole other level, and I've seen that in other people as well. And that is why I started to create my own holistic products and essential oil infusions so that you can utilize them in your day-to-day life. You can smell good, you feel good, and it is beneficial for your health. And that is why I welcome the Holistic Human Performance Essential Oil Infusion Collection and Holistic Products. You can head on over to holistichumanperformance.co/shop and get your holistic products today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Holistic Human Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Gena Bradshaw, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Shazad Carbaidwala. He is a renowned empowerment expert, entrepreneur, coach, and author. He's the founder of Shazad's Nutrition, dedicated to helping individuals overcome obstacles, unlock their potential, and achieve their goals. His book is also called Row: From Setbacks to Success. And we were briefly chatting before we started recording about his journey and his story. And just a little heads up, this is, we're going to go deep with his story. So for anybody who may be a little triggered, just a warning, in the beginning. So don't say we didn't say it. But I think that it's extremely important to have people on, which for those listeners who have been listening for a while, most, if not all of my guests that come on have all started from the lowest point in their lives and have been able to climb out of a dark hole and move forward and in turn help others on the other side. So without further ado, Shazad, welcome.
Thank you, Gena. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and the rest of your audience. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. So let's just dive in. To be a life coach and to be able to work with other people to help them enhance their lives, what kind of brought you to that point? What brought you to this journey? And kind of like where did your journey start?
Yeah, no, it's a great question and good to kind of start us off in this discussion. But yeah, and guys, this is not a story, Gena, from like rags to riches or anything like that. I'm not
Right.
like a millionaire or anything like that. Not that I want to be, but my overall vision in life and mission is to help people in any capacity. So my journey, and Gena, I always wanted to become a professional athlete at 5 years old. So like, when we were born, we grow up and we always have, what we want to do in life, right? And I always wanted to become a professional athlete. Um,
What kind of
and
athlete?
football player.
Okay, cool. I got lots
You,
of my brothers are definitely football athletes as well. We were all athletes, so I always appreciate
nice.
when somebody else is into that.
So well, one caveat to that, Jenna, is that I'm 5'6", and
Okay.
I'm brown and I'm Pakistani.
Okay.
You don't see a
Yeah,
lot of
you
professional
don't. In
football. Yeah,
football, yeah, you
yeah,
don't.
yeah. So, but that was my path. I
Mm,
wanted, and I was steadfast in that. And what I mean by that is I made a lot of sacrifices, and I was very, very selfish in the way that I pursued that goal because I put everything into it. And I'm gonna say a quote that's gonna resonate throughout this entire discussion is by whatever means necessary. Now, if you think
Mm,
about that and your audience thinks about that, whatever means necessary, right, to become a professional athlete, making taking making decisions, making sacrifices, making compromises to get to that level, right? We're talking about
mhm.
being a professional, making money in something that very few have the opportunity to do, right? So
Right.
sometimes we take extreme action to get to that level. So um, that was my path. That's what I thought my path to my future was. That was my chapter. That was a big chapter of my life. I played for 12 years all the way through college, and I wasn't good enough to play at the professional level. So um the next chapter of my life, but I didn't want to give up on my dream, Jenna. I
Mm,
still wanted to pursue it. I just didn't know what that was. Um, so God really, really had to take me and kind of show me the path of what that looked like versus, and also where I am now.
yeah.
So bodybuilding came into the picture, and that's where I
Okay.
became a professional. So I started competitive bodybuilding in 2004, became a professional in 2009. Um,
Got your pro card.
got my pro card, which Jenna was a little card that
Yeah.
had four little boxes on it that had
Yeah.
athlete, judge, promoter, and coach. And my little box was checked, and that was my induction in all those years of training and sacrifice. And Jenna, we're talking about working out twice a day. We're talking about weighing every morsel of food that was put in my body, including ketchup, mustard, everything was weighed. Meal prepping. I had a team of people that were backing me. My
Oh
mother
yeah.
was cooking my food. I had a strength coach. I had a nutritional person. I had a posing instructor. I had a
Yep.
personal trainer. I mean, all these people were embedded into my vision of becoming a professional athlete. So I got my pro card. The world stops there, right? Now I'm gonna be a multimillionaire, sign a multi-million-dollar contract, get endorsements and all that. Little did I know, I forgot that there's no money in professional. There's not a lot
Yeah.
of money in professional bodybuilding.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I
because
got
really
spot.
yeah, because I'm familiar with bodybuilding, but I didn't compete myself, but I was in the fitness realm, and I saw this a lot with those people who did dedicate their lives to bodybuilding. It was all the same. It was like, I'm gonna get, $1 million and all these things are gonna happen. But you have to get sponsored, you have to get promotions, you have to get all these other people to back you in order to even get to that place.
Definitely. You have to be a self-marketer. And one tidbit to people that when they work out at a gym and you see a bodybuilder and they're wearing the tank top and the shorts and showing off their quads and arms and all that, guys, they're not doing it because they're narcissistic and they want to see themselves in the mirror. They're not looking for efficiencies, they're looking for deficiencies
Mm,
and what
mm,
areas they can improve on. So they're looking at how why their body doesn't look it's a you want to become perfect, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah. Um, so 2009 got my pro card, got sponsored, was ready to start my competitive journey in bodybuilding, and that's where I met my wife.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's where I met my wife. My dad passed away too.
Okay,
So a couple
okay.
of big milestones happened. My
Hmm.
dad passed away. My dad, one of his last wishes was, hey, pursue your dream, go become a professional bodybuilder, do whatever you
Mm,
can to get there. So I got there, fulfilled the dream, fulfilled what I set out to do.
mm,
Unfortunately, I just didn't get to go past that, right? Which
mm.
is in God's wish for me, which is
Right.
perfectly fine. Of in hindsight of where I am now,
Mm,
um, because met my wife and I knew that my journey most likely was going to end at that point. She's a physician, um, which is a very demanding career. So
very
I
demanding.
yeah, she went through residency, fellowship, and a second fellowship too. So we traveled quite a bit during
Wow.
that time. Yeah, and I knew my body was giving out a little bit, multiple
Yeah.
surgeries on my knees, shoulders. I was lifting very heavy weights, for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time. And you just imagine doing that iteratively over and over and over again. It takes a toll on your bodies. And it did, and it did.
Yeah.
And I want to have a family and one of the things, Jenna, that I touched on was decisions that I made to get to that professional status. And um, with my genetics and my DNA, um, I, I made some bad decisions. I'm not making an excuse, but I put anabolics in my body. I
Yeah.
I was a heavy narcotic drug user. I've been
Mm.
clean and sober for March 5th, 2018. So I've been sober for 6 years, a little bit over 6 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Biggest achievement,
Is
probably
it-
that
Of
I've
your
ever made.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hardest too. Very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
Withdrawals is coming clean is no joke.
Yeah.
Um, um, it's tough. It's tough. Um, and my image, um, Jenna, when I walked in the room, I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I was the girl with double D boobs. Everyone looked. Everyone looked. Um, Everyone pointed. Everyone said steroids. They under their breath or they said it out loud. Not to me, but just out loud.
Yeah.
Everybody made remarks because I looked the part, you
Yeah.
know. That was my image though. Whether I liked it or not, I didn't really like it. But that was my image. And that facade was what I was known for. So everyone, when they spoke about Shazad, oh, the bodybuilding guy. Oh, I know him. Yeah, yeah, he works out in the
Hmm.
gym. Or, oh, family and friends. Oh, Shazad, the bodybuilder. That's how I was introduced by my father. That's my son. He's the professional bodybuilder.
That was like your identity.
That was my identity.
Mm.
2009 hit, met my wife, stopped working out, stopped training, put all that on hold, as kind of like a little bit of a sacrifice, right? She was going to come from the UK to me in Chicago, so figured, I got to put this on hold. I can't be training twice a day, doing all the stuff that I was doing, supplementation, anabolics, all this other stuff. It's not gonna fly.
Yeah.
Um, so then decided to put the professional bodybuilding career, thinking that it was on hold. It ended up being that I just didn't pursue it any longer, which is
Yeah.
okay. Which now
Yeah.
in hindsight is okay, but that self-image, I mean, that I lost that, which was a little bit of it's always been a challenge. It still weighs on me. It's like, man, um, getting friends back then was much easier when you have this facade about you versus now they get a chance to actually they have to get to know you rather than all those man hugs that I was receiving before, all those congratulatory like handshakes and oh, I look up to you, you're awesome, all this stuff. For some reason, I wasn't getting that anymore, Jenna, as my
Mm.
body shrunk. So,
Mm.
um, so that was interesting, but it was a life lesson. So,
Yeah.
um,
And
everything
then
happens for a reason.
and then yeah, 100%. So like obviously God was like, "Okay, you're not on the path where you need to be."
Yeah.
And your wife came into your life, which is amazing. So from there, kind of how did you decide to like how did you move forward? And um were you in rehab at this point? Like how did that no,
No, cold turkey.
cold turkey. Okay.
Uh,
Kudos to you, man.
uh, uh, those days of the stuff that you see in movies is fucking true.
Yeah.
Rolling around in bed, shaking, vomiting, diarrhea, did it all on my own.
Mm,
Very tough, very tough. I don't recommend anyone doing that path.
right.
Um, my drugs of choice was Nubane, uh, well, Vicodin, Nubane, morphine, methadone, and then Suboxone.
Mm,
And it's
wow.
yeah, and I was getting prescribed Suboxone readily because I was an athlete, right? I was I
Yeah.
was a football player, and then America loves their athletes, right? America loves their
Right.
football players. Was an athlete and then became a professional bodybuilder. So when I wanted something, I was able to get it, right?
It
People
was easily accessible.
people wanted to be around that, right? Like
Yeah.
mm. And then I got to a point where I was dealing. I was making money to fuel my addictions and vices, and my bodybuilding career, right? Because like I said, bodybuilding, I didn't have a contract where I was getting a paycheck every week, and it wasn't
Right.
like that. So
Right.
my sponsorship was giving me supplementation and clothes.
Yep.
That's what I was getting, right, for all those years of hard work. But um, so yeah, you know what really changed my life around was just increasing my faith, and praying and maturing too. Jenna, it's I was a kid, maturing and things like that. When I was, just to give you some perspective on one of the choices that I made when I was 19 years old. Me and two friends, we traveled from Chicago to Mexico to smuggle drugs across the border, thinking
Wow.
that it was easy. Thinking
Wow.
that it was easy. We made it across the border.
That's
Um,
in that's wild.
insane with drug. Jenna, I didn't have an ID. I didn't have a driver's
Wow.
license. I was driving on a ticket, a freaking ticket. We were in the pharmacy and we were like, it was like a grocery store. We are like, I want that. I want that. I was like a kid in a candy shop. I want that. I want that. Where are we going to put this stuff? I was putting it in my underwear, my socks, wherever I could find places to put anabolics, I was putting it in there across the border. The gentleman at the border patrol, we walked. So there's a couple of checkpoints. So the first checkpoint, gentleman was there. We were walking to the checkpoint to get to our car, still in
Mm.
Mexico, but checkpoint didn't have my driver's license. So barely spoke any English, the customs agent. So they were just like, people were going left and right, right? Looking at ID, okay, you're good, you're good, you're good. I'll
Wow.
quickly scan you. Well, stopped me. Why? Because I have a piece of paper that was written by the police, was a ticket that was all already blurred out, barely could read my name or anything. He's looking at it. He's like, who the heck are you? He's like, I can't even read your name. I need another ID. I had my college ID. Yeah.
Oh, I can't even.
And Jenna, I had the nerve of telling this guy, hey, I'm a college football player. Who the who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Who the hell are you? I don't care. But he did care. He
Wow.
ca- he cared.
He
And he's
cared?
yeah, 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 he cared. And he's
What?
like, what school you play for? And I'm playing for small Division 3 school. He cared. It was like, what position do you play? You look like you work out. Like I'm like,
Whoa.
yeah. So there's a line of people waiting to get through to that checkpoint, and I'm having a conversation about,
Talking about football.
yeah, yeah. So so he lets me through the second checkpoint, and the second checkpoint you have to drive. So put everything in a duffel bag. We put everything, Jenna, in a duffel bag, and we put it in the front seat in the dashboard with a whole lot of stuff. I'm talking
Wow.
about syringes. I'm talking about pills. I'm talking about seven to $10,000 worth of gear. We're trying to checkpoint, and we put it. We don't hide it. You don't do it like a normal, like a smart person would do. We just put it in the front dashboard.
Wow.
We get stopped, and my two friends are 260 pounds, college defensive linemen,
Mm,
huge guys. At that point, I'm about 170 pounds, but they're
mm,
wearing tank tops.
mm.
So they demand a lot of attention. They're huge guys. I wasn't like that. At that time I wasn't. Um, so everyone's looking at us already. Um, and they're wearing tank tops, and it's like walking, and then we get in the car, we get stopped by Border Patrol. Get out of the car, take the dog, sniff, start taking flashlights, looking at everything. And there goes the dashboard, opens up. And dashboard opens up, start touching the thing. And I'm right there. I'm looking at it. I'm like, we're done. We're going to a Mexican prison. I don't even know what that looks like. We're done. Our
Ugh.
career, our lives are over. Um, touches the thing, the duffel bag, closes the dashboard. You guys are good. Go on your merry way. Yeah, yeah. So, um, and I know we're talking a lot about this story, but long story short, we get pulled over in Texas. Um, we get detained, handcuffed, thrown in lockup. I'm looking at 7 years in prison. Um,
Okay.
going through the arraignment process, all that fun stuff. Um, the judge saved my life. She basically, when I went up to stand, I was looking at 7 years. She tells me, she's like, I heard great things about you while you were in the holding pattern for that week. Um, you were saying yes, sir, yes, ma'am, to the correctional officer. I'm looking at you now. I see that you're so remorseful, but in the judicial system, we have you down for the intent of selling this, which is a 7-year sentence. But you're a kid and I can't ruin your life. So you're not
Oh,
you're not going to go to prison. I'm going to give you a gold key that's hung up on my wall. It's a gold key that I used to wear as a necklace. And she said, every time you look at that gold key and you ever want to make a bad decision, that's the key to your cell. That's where you're going to go. So very powerful. And she's like, I'm going to give you community service and a couple other things.
yeah,
And at that time, I'm still a knucklehead, Jen. I'm still a knucklehead, still doing all these. This is before I started taking narcotics and really got involved in
yeah.
anabolics and all that other stuff. Still made some gambling and so many other bad decisions. So I still didn't get it. But I mean, she saved me. She knew like something was telling her that, hey, this guy may turn his life around, give him a second chance. And I got third, and fourth and fifth and sixth and seven chances along the way. Took me a while to clean up my act, but fortunately I was able to, and that's where I'm kind of here today. But that's one example of many that we could talk about hours for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, that's divine intervention right there. Like all of these things that have happened are divine intervention to lead you to this point. I mean, sometimes it's just that's the way life goes. And unfortunately, our ego gets in the way and we continue on and you know, we do eventually get to this point. You either continue on and eventually just you only get so many chances, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad to see you were able to turn your life around. So when was the point where you kind of stepped into like coaching other people and being able to like when did you write your book? How did that all transpire?
Yeah. So, John, 2004, I started my personal training practice.
Okay.
So there's a lot of parallels, right? So my big arms and my veins were covering my track marks. Okay. So there was a lot of parallels. There was a lot of things. I was doing good things while I was doing bad things. I had a good angel on my right hand. I had a bad angel on my right, good angel on my left.
Mm,
Unfortunately, that's changed now. I have good angels on both, and I have a good
good.
angel on top. I got a daughter, I have my mom, and I have my wife, and they look after me. It's not easy for them because I'm a pain in the ass. I'll tell you that much. And they know that because they all live in the same house as me. So 2004, I had personal training practice. So I started helping people kind of understanding and Jen, I was blessed with the team that I had when I was competitive bodybuilding and in football that amazing people around me. So they were helping me, guiding me into getting to the next level and things like that. So I enriched the people that I help, my clients, with that. So 2014, I've had my personal training practice. Last 5, 6 years, I've been coaching, life coaching, and things like that. So I wrote my book in 2021. It was published. It's in Amazon. It's in other places too that you could purchase it. But row is basically a metaphor of how I used to live my life and how I live my life now. So a little bit about row. It is basically a book about a gentleman that's in San Quentin prison that is 2 weeks away from execution. And each chapter of that book is a jail journal about what's presently happening in his environment each day before it leads to his execution. The second half of it is each jail journal is a, a chapter in my life. So there's different parts. The part that has the most bearing and intrigue for most readers is Knucklehead Philosophy, which is part 3. That really kind of talks about some of the misdoings that I had, not in depth, but it talks a little bit about them. And then it's basically a story of redemption, basically being in the gutter and then kind of lifting myself off, getting myself off to the point where, I stand before you now.
What are some things that you did personally, aside from obviously becoming sober, that you've implemented into your life that helped you turn everything around?
Yeah, it's changing my overall vision of what sorry, my mission of what I want my life to be.
Mm,
Before it was something else, and now it's completely 100% to help people in any capacity that I can based on my past experiences, so they don't go down the same road that I went down.
mm,
For example, managing and running my own philanthropy organization where we have around 60 or 70 people, 62 people on the team right now, all focused on doing outreach stuff and, doing whatever we can, not just within the parameters of where we live, but all over the world. Um, and now I put laser focus on that. Um, because the way that I feel is I owe a debt to society,
mm,
and I'll give you an example of that, Jenna. So when that judge put the sentence on me, she said I needed to do 1,000 hours of community service. Back then, 1,000 hours of community service for me was someone writing something down on a piece of paper saying that
yeah,
I fulfilled my requirement. And that's what they did.
right.
They just wrote it down like Shazad volunteer this organization. He's done, but I didn't do any of that service.
Mm,
God's making me repent now, and He's
mm,
making me give back of those hours that I was supposed to do before. I
mm,
I I don't have to do it. It's not like a judge is saying, "Oh, wait, you cheated on those hours. Now you got to pay him back." No, it's he's coming down and saying, "Okay, you didn't do them. I'm going to make you do them now." So it's
yeah.
changed my whole mantra around, and my mindset is different, and it just made me such a happier person, Jen. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. So tell me about your coaching business and how do you help people with the things that there's what kind of people are you seeing? Are there any themes that you notice with, your clients that you're working with? How do you help them?
Yeah, that's so I'm trained through an organization, Ericsson International. There is an approach behind it. When I thought about life coaching too, I'm like, oh, it's kind of hokey. Like, what is it? Like, you're a life coach. Like, what are
Yeah.
people gonna teach me? It's like, but then I went through the curriculum and I'm like, wow, there is a process behind it. So it's very solution focused coaching, meaning that, one of the phrases that I tell people is talk is cheap. And unfortunately, things happen in our life that skews our mindset to achieving our overall mission in life.
Mm,
Family, friends, responsibilities, work, religion, all these things are amazing things, but they could cloud your overall mission in life and what you want to do. So my coaching philosophy is very much, look, what's your goal? Do you have specific milestones that you want to meet? I'll give you an example. Hey, I want to run a triathlon. Okay. When do you want to do it? Well, I don't know, but I want to do it at some point. I don't get into the negative, but I'm like, listen, we got to put a plan towards that. That is a milestone. That is something you really want to do. But we got to do something to achieve it, right? You got to put a plan in everything that you want to accomplish in your milestone to make it. For example, when you travel, you want to take a trip somewhere, you have to plan it, right? You don't just go. You don't just go to the
right.
airport and be like, hey, I'm going to go. No, you have to plan it. And I'm finding out that that is a hard process for people, right? Because all of the other responsibilities cloud that. So putting a plan in place, that's something that I help with. I also put a plan in place of other work, other life milestones that people want to meet and try to put all of that together and to provide an overall life vision. Um, it takes a lot of self-reflection for people to do that. It's not an easy thing at all. But we kind of analyze that and examine that a little bit. That's typically my coaching philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that people can, like you said, they want to, be a part of and compete as a triathlete. You got to put a plan in place, and even creating a business of any sort, like you need to have some sort of plan. And I think that it's so important for people to understand that because you said this in the beginning of like building your team. Like you have to build your team of people who are going to have your best interest and support you along the way with, your needs, your goals, your desires in mind. And, you know, as a coach, it takes, like you said, your mission now is to help other people. That has to always be the mission as a coach. And I always implore people when they're looking for coaches to help them and to create their team, like you're like interview the coach, see kind of like how they operate, see what their systems are like, see what their philosophy is like. Um, Notice if like you're talking to a coach and like all they talk about is themselves. You need to notice these things. They're so important because there's so many coaches out there that just they'll get a certification online or, they've never experienced life and they're out here talking, about helping other people, but not really. And really it's just them. It's all about them. So I always talk about how important it is, when you're looking for a coach.
Yeah, amen to that. That's 100% true, Jenna. 100% true. It's not all about talking like, life experiences and stuff like that, but it's just when you're coaching somebody, it's not about the coach, it's about the person you're coaching. It's all about them.
Right.
Um, it's what they want their life to look like, and then you kind of help them get there. It's all about helping. It's not about the coach at all, not even 1%.
Right.
Um, but it takes a while to get to that point where one of the things, Jenna, that when I went through the curriculum, the hardest thing was listening. Um, it's a really hard thing to like listen.
It's a
Um,
skill for sure.
absolutely. It takes a while because you want to interject and you want to say and you want to provide value in that conversation, but listening provides so much value, you know? Um, so
Yes. I completely agree with you. So as we wrap up, are there any words of wisdom that you would like to leave the listeners?
take pride in everything you do, and don't don't hesitate to communicate. Effective communication is so critical for everybody. You're We're not alone in this earth. Like we all have demons. Everybody. We all have skeletons in our closet. Don't keep them in your closet though. Take them out. Talk about them. Um, we all have mental health issues, all of that stuff. Jen, I have a therapist, I have a life coach, I have mentors that I reach out all the time. Hey, I have this problem. Can you please help me get through it? It's not vulnerability. Well, actually, it is. You have to put yourself in a vulnerable way, but it's not something that you should feel ashamed of.
Mm,
Um, and that's the couple advice things that I would say.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
where can people find you?
Yeah. So shazadsnutrition.com, SHAZADS, nutrition.com. That's where my personal training platform is. You could reach me on there. You could LinkedIn profile. I have a YouTube channel. Um, email me at carbaidwala37 at gmail. Jenna, do you want me to spell that out? Because I
I
do want to.
will I will put all of this in the show notes, so don't worry.
Okay. My last name is not the easiest in the world. Um, well, shit, call me. 847-312-2892. Call me. Anything you need, I will. If I can provide it, I will. Call me. We're all human beings. We're all here on this earth to help each other.
Mm,
Um, and create a happy atmosphere.
preach. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I know it's not easy, but I know for a fact that this will help at least somebody listening.
I hope so. And thank you, Jenna, for taking the time. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys. If you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys.